fascination of German soccer. What makes the Bundesliga so attractive? In the interview, we speak to the German Football Association President Wolfgang Niersbach.
Wolfgang Niersbach, it's been nearly a year since you took over the presidency of the German Football Association, the DFB, the biggest sporting association in the world with 6.8 million members. What do you believe your mission is, and how do you see the DFB developing in the future?
Well, I'm amazed. It's already been nearly a year since I was elected. It was at a special session of the association on March the 2nd. As far as the future is concerned, I would like to continue the traditions of the past. For me, conservative is not a negative label if you see it as preserving the best of our traditional values, our strength as a footballing nation, but with constant innovation too. And for me personally, I'd like to concentrate on the core business of training and actually playing good football, both at the top flight level and at the grassroots. I believe making sure the core business of providing good football is the best way to promote the other social issues involved in a credible way, especially issues like racial integration in football.
Your predecessors all made a point of publicizing their support of social issues within football. The DFB is involved in initiatives all over the world. Can football really help make the world a better place?
Well, it can help to make a change in the world, I would say, yes. But we shouldn't be so presumptuous as to claim we're involved in global politics here. Still, we can take advantage of the fact that football is an international language that's understood everywhere. We don't need translators. Body language is enough. Football is effective, but we should distinguish between the purely charitable sector, like the Football Aid Foundation for Mexico. I was there as a journalist when that was launched in 1986, by the way. So the foundations set up by former DFB presidents, like the Egidius Braun Foundation, or the oldest, the Sepp Herberger Foundation, are a good way to help. Then there are our global partnerships with other national associations, in Azerbaijan, for instance, or Namibia, where we're really engaged in development aid. We also cooperate with major associations in Russia and Japan, where knowledge transfer plays a large part, especially in the run-up to the 2018 World Cup.
Theo Zwanziger stood above all for integration, and he also wanted to bring women's football on. There are 1 million female members in the DFB, so how can we make it so that women's football makes another stride forward?
We would be making a big mistake if we, as an association, didn't recognize the importance of women's football. Of our 6.8 million members, about 1 million are women and girls, so we have to look after them too, and we are looking after them. But we also have to recognize that the things that make men's football strong, such as a strong national team and professional league, are missing in our women's game. That's not purely a German problem, of course. You hear the same thing around the world. Look at America, where the Professional Women's League has been cancelled for a second time. I don't know if it'll be revived again. There's just not enough public support, not enough media attention. Of course, weekends are already full of men's football at all levels, from the first division down to the amateur leagues, so it's difficult for women's football to get a look in. We're doing our best to improve the situation, to attract more money to the National League clubs, but it's really down to club managers to do that.
And where's the German national squad now in 2013?
Second in the world rankings, is that what you mean?
Well, I meant the men's team.
Yes, well, the men's and women's squads are both second. Spain's at the top, then us. Our primary goal for 2013 is to qualify directly for the World Cup finals. We realize that the public take that for granted, really, but it's something we have to work for. There are only two countries in the world that have always been in the World Cup finals, Brazil and Germany. All the other great footballing nations have missed out at one time or another. I'm going to stick my neck out and predict that we will go through at the top of our group. We have a great team. But before you ask the obvious question of whether we'll win the World Cup in 2014, well, I can't guarantee that.
But even if there can be no guarantee of that, we have wowed the world with our stable of young talent who play such attacking football. But can we trust Joachim Löw to do the right thing? Is he on the right track? Can he bring the trophy home?
Well, there's no reason why not. We can always field a team that's capable of making it through to the semi-finals of any major competition. After that, it comes down to luck, no matter whether the coach is Beckenbauer, Vogts, Früller, Klinsmann or Löw. Think back to the World Cup in 2006 here in Germany when we beat Argentina in a penalty shootout to win the quarterfinal. That was the famous match where Jens Lehmann had notes about the penalty takers tucked into his sock. Everyone thought we were going out after Argentina took the lead. Even the Argentinian coach took Juan Comán Riquelme off because he thought the match was already over. Of course, we also won two penalty shootouts against England in 1990 and 1996. You might think it's impossible to lose a shootout against the English, but it really could have happened. Football is an unpredictable game.
The Bundesliga seems to have become an example. Now Pep Guardiola's on his way here. What makes the Bundesliga so strong?
We have a multitude of good players, but the real issue is how the coaches select the best 11 players to put on the pitch when they have a squad of 20 to 25 players to choose from. That's the real art. The proportion of young players in the Bundesliga is extremely high. Many years ago, when Hannes Löhr was coach of the under-21s, he had to take players who were always on the bench or even playing in the amateur leagues to fill out his squad. Nobody knew that at the time. Nowadays, the players who will go to the European Championships in Israel and hopefully bring back the trophy are all playing regularly for professional clubs. That's perhaps a good example of the turnaround in football here. It's also important that clubs look to develop talented German players rather than searching the globe for foreign talents and finding players from countries most people in Germany had never even heard of.
Attendances are bigger here than in England, Spain and Italy. One of the reasons for the great atmosphere is the affordable ticket pricing. How can we keep hold of that?
By not being satisfied with what we already have, not sitting back. And then we get back to the key issue, developing talent and promoting young players through elite training. We can't let up when it comes to these aims, and we have to try and go even further with them. We've set up this youth training system with 366 training centers with coaches across Germany. I don't think any other national association in the world has anything like this. Coaches from Starnberg to Lüneburg are on our payroll, and they're the guys who are taking care of training and developing young players. It's for kids between 10 and 14 years old, and once they're a bit older, the best go into Bundesliga training centers, in which the Bundesliga invests about 100 million euros every year. As everyone can see, German football has really profited from this setup.
How can we put a stop to crowd trouble, but still make sure that we keep the atmosphere we have in our stadiums? I'm thinking of the first weekend after the winter break, when Frankfurt fans halted the game in Leverkusen.
It's a depressing issue, and it's something that gets people angry. What you have is a small minority of people in the crowd who ruin the match for thousands of other spectators. They just want to cause trouble, and dialogue doesn't help. It's just a small group who are in the stadium and want to be noticed, want to get themselves mentioned in the media and gain notoriety. It would be a real step forward if people were to stop referring to them as fans. These people aren't fans. They're people who are disruptive and sometimes violent, and they have to be identified and dealt with. That's the case at all different types of events around the world. If someone at a rock concert tried to start a riot or used pyrotechnics, they would get thrown out by the organizers. It's as simple as that, in theory. Obviously, it can be very difficult to put that into practice, though.
You've started to make the comparison already. How has your passion for the game changed over time? Do you see it differently now that you're the DFB president?
My fascination with football is the same as ever. I love going to games as much as I did before. If I go along to somewhere football's being played, even if it's just a training session, I have to stand and watch. Equally, I love to go to a big stadium on a Saturday afternoon. I always prefer that to watching it on TV. Something the great Sepp Herberger once said sums it up. People go to watch football because no one knows what's going to happen. I believe in that, too. People have known how it all ends in Goethe's Faust or Shakespeare's King Lear for years. But with football, you can never be sure.
Thank you for your thoughts.